Sony and Microsoft going back and forth and competing for our money is nothing new. I mean, this is something that has been happening for, what, 4 generations now, and we see that despite no matter how many times these companies claim that they're not really competing with each other, it's quite obvious that they are actually competing with each other. And, this is just something that I feel like is just going to continue to happen, is going to continue to be a great thing. And you know what? I do think that, it really pays off for us, the gamers, when we get stuff like this. When we get news like this, when we get announcements like this, I just feel like it's obviously something that fans can kind of get behind, and that's what I love talking about. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about video games. I'm passionate about all this kind of stuff, and now to see how everybody is kind of talking about this, and again, it just goes to show how important this kind of thing is. Yeah, it's exciting, and hopefully that really kind of shows in what I talk about and what I say and what I do. So I do want to get into it. Going to be a good video. I can tell you that right now. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Crapgamer, and this, of course, is Crapgamer Reviews, your home for gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. You'll probably notice some changes around here. Hopefully that doesn't stop you from giving us a like and possibly even consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me today. It does mean a lot. You guys have been fantastic. Now, we know that Sony is making their own version of Xbox Game Pass to stop or to compete against Game Pass, right? Project Spartacus. And there's been lots of talk about how Sony can do that, what Sony can do. Obviously, when it comes to some of this stuff, this could be very interesting. And how would Sony be able to do it? So let's just be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. PlayStation's backwards compatibility support kind of sucks. While the PlayStation team was nice enough to allow the PS4 owners to play most of their PS4 games on PS5, PlayStation still trails Xbox backwards compatibility programs in nearly every respect. What's worse is PlayStation team has shown little interest in allowing PS5 owners to easily access PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, even if they own the physical disc for those games, beyond the occasional remaster, remake, or digital marketplace re-release. In fact, you could easily argue that Project Spartacus's primary goal should be to offer PlayStation gamers the expanded backwards compatibility access they've mostly been denied so far. While PlayStation Now does feature a small collection of classic titles, the service's retro library isn't nearly as substantial as it needs to be, given the PS4 and PS5 offer very little native backwards compatibility support. So Project Spartacus should offer some kind of day one first-party PlayStation games as well, even if they're smaller games. While the members of PlayStation team has previously stated that they don't believe in adding new first-party titles to their streaming service day one because it's not a sustainable practice, the fact of the matter is that Game Pass's ever-growing collection of new releases, as well as $70 games, is going to kind of change things around a little bit. I think that maybe even more important, or equally important, is maybe getting some of those third-party games day one. That's going to be the thing that I think is going to keep Sony in the, kind of in the mix, especially when you consider this. Xbox Game Pass has at least 5 day one games coming next week themselves. So one of the main reasons to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass subscription service is to get day one releases, being able to play brand new game without paying anything more than an Xbox Game Pass fee is huge. And if one tends to buy new games regularly, the service could practically pay for itself. Microsoft has already added multiple new day one Game Pass games in January, but there's even more on the way next week, and Microsoft has yet to reveal all the new Game Pass games coming in the second half of the month. The announcement will likely come early next week, but in the meantime, fans do know of some of the games that are coming to Game Pass the second half of January 2022, based on already what's been announced. So yeah, this is something that I think a lot of people are already talking about when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox Game Pass, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you have these companies and they're competing with each other, man, what a great time to be a gamer. You know what I mean? Like that's what it all comes down to, in my opinion. This is the type of stuff that gamers love to see and love to hear, because it really pays off for us, the fans. And I like to kind of talk about that because it's a value proposition, and us as gamers love value propositions. I can tell you that much right now. And at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. So new day one Game Pass games would be joining the previous release day one like the Pedestrian, Spelunky 2, the co-op shooter, the Anacrusis, all together with games really go a long way in justifying a subscription service. Rainbow Six Extraction Preload is also available now for Game Pass subscribers and subscription service members. So again, that's a lot of games. Getting stuff day one, I feel like, is a huge deal, right? Like even smaller stuff. Like I don't look at to be honest with you, some of those games that I just mentioned as big name games, right? Like who cares about the Anacrusis or whatever? But at the end of the day, it's just another title that's going to be on there day one, and people can try it out if they want to. And I think that's the important kind of part to look at when it comes down to this. So when you think about it, having stuff like Nobody Saves the World, the Hitman trilogy, Rainbow Six Extraction, Windjammers, I mean, some of this stuff might not be what you would be considered huge, but the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, these are all things that really play well into what Microsoft does. And when it comes to Sony, PlayStation has to find a good Spartacus price point, which may include tiered subscriptions. So it's not exactly a secret that a product or service's price point play a large role in determining its short and long-term success. But when it comes to pricing video game subscription services, like one Project Spartacus is rumored to be, there's very little precedent for Sony to work with. Game Pass is really the only subscription service of its kind that has managed to break into the mainstream, and Xbox priced Game Pass service aggressively in order to help it establish a substantial user base. Assuming Sony won't be quite that generous, or depending on how you read the situation, that it might actually make sense for them to offer an extensive tier system that really lets you determine how much of Spartacus you want to be able to access. Ideally, at $9.99 a month would allow you to access a library of retro, indie, and third-party titles, while something in the $19.99 a month range would grant you access to new first-party releases or whatever. I doubt they're going to do the first-party releases. Let's just throw that out. This is an article that I'm kind of going over, but yeah, first-party releases would not make sense for Sony on doing this, but that doesn't mean you couldn't get some third-party releases and stuff like that. PlayStation's Project Spartacus could and maybe should offer other things as well, like what Game Pass does. There's extra perks, like TV shows, movies, or what have you. I know you can get some of this stuff with Game Pass. Like if you're a Game Pass subscriber, they do allow you to do some of these things, and I think that would be great, and I think most of all, what Project Spartacus has to do is, if they do start to offer something along the lines of games, or if they have some great games to offer, I think that backwards compatibility would be cool, and it's a good talking point, but you have to be able to have backwards compatibility without streaming. I think that would be the biggest thing that we should see from Sony, right? Like you can't have a situation where everything's streaming, because people, believe it or not, they don't want to stream. I know people don't believe me when I say that, but honestly, they don't want to stream, and overall consensus is that's the reason. Look, I mean, PlayStation Now has had streaming forever, and people just don't care. They don't want to play games that way. It's just not something that they want to do, and so unfortunately, streaming, just especially here in North America, I think it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. This is a very interesting prospect, because we have these kind of companies going back and forth, and I would really love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on it as well. I'm going to link all of this in the description. Check it out. Microsoft day one stuff. Sony, they need to do the same. They got this stuff coming out. There's all kinds of rumors floating around, but what do you think? Rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crapgamer 'em up, Crapgamer out.